Am I the asshole for telling someone to stop worshipping my dead friend on social media who hated him? Okay, I know this sounds really bad, so please read through the entire thing before writing anything. My best friend, well, call him Mark, recently overdosed and passed away. I was insanely broken up, and cried for a whole day and had to skip class. I'm at college. The guy the first I'm talking about was despised by Mark. He absolutely hated this person, and never wanted anything to do with him. The guy is a bit of a pompous ass, and the only time he would talk to Mark was to try to mooch weed or nicotine off of him. So this guy sees my friend died, and posts 20+ photos on his social medias about how he was best friends with him, and that the world robbed him of his closest friend. Things along the lines, no one would understand how I'm feeling because no one knew him like me, they didn't have the bond we have. This guy does this whenever anyone dies, famous people too, but it really irked me this time. I don't know if it's because my friend hated him so much, or that I was upset that he was acting like he was the only one who could feel pain. But I texted him, Mark hated you, and he would be rolling over in his grave if he knew you were flaunting his death for popularity points and acting like you were friends. In the moment it felt really good, but now I'm thinking I went too far and lashed out because I was upset my friend died. Am I the asshole? Edit. Due to many people asking, the photos were taken from Mark's social medias, and none of them involved the hated guy. He didn't have a single photo with Mark in his camera roll. Not the asshole. I hate grief hawks like this. It's very narcissistic behavior. My mother does it. Anyone who's sick or dying is all about her and how upset she is, even if she hates the person. It's ridiculous and I don't blame you for lashing out. I had a friend die suddenly in a car accident. He had split up with his girlfriend some time before and she told him there was no chance of getting back together. She gave a speech at his funeral about how she was going to miss out on marrying him and having children with him. It was quite off-putting how much she was exploiting his death for attention and misrepresenting the situation. Not the asshole. No wonder Mark didn't like him. Not the asshole. You told him and everyone that might be fooled by him the truth. He's literally a social vulture. Honestly, under those circumstances you're not the asshole. The guy sounds like a clown if he always uses death as an excuse to big up his ego. Fuck him. Obviously I'm applying the fact that you're upset to this, and this guy is being insensitive about people's passing away. I think it's warranted. Does this person know Mark hated them? Anyway. You shouldn't police people's grief. But also he's trying to use the death of Mark for social media points. When you really think about it, what is this guy gaining from his behavior? Absolutely nothing. He might get a few likes and get well comments, but they mean nothing. At the same time, he's not taking anything away from you or your mate. He's probably just making himself feel worse and lonelier by feigning relationships. Generally, you shouldn't police people's grief. From my experience, loads of people make posts saying RIP, some go overboard and some don't. When my cousin and friends died, I just thanked everyone for their support and good wishes. Unless they're saying horrible things, lashing out like that, especially with the words of your mate, won't do anyone good. Take your time to grieve. Take some time out. Not the asshole. It must be really hard to see someone attention-seeking like this using the death of your friend, especially since the guy didn't like him. I don't agree with handling it that way, but I don't think you were unjustified. Not the asshole. The guy is a narcissist, and he was self-promoting to get attention. Good job calling him up on his BS. Not the asshole. A girl I know was only obsessed with my best friend after he was killed by a cop on the wrong side of the road. He couldn't stand her, but she has like 4 memorial tats related to him. But got pissy when I found his own writing and his mom wanted something made. Which apparently makes me, creepy, tears of joy. I'm sorry for your loss, but him for being a drama queen, you for appointing yourself the mourning police. You don't get to decide how or how much someone else mourns. I had a girl I know show up to the funeral of a good friend of mine who also overdosed. She wasn't good friends with him. She showed up to where the funeral service took place, but the service had already ended, and an AT shirt and yoga pants. She then immediately proceeds to make up some story about how she just got out of the hospital, at my friend's funeral. She then went on to start drama at the reception saying that the ex was there, who the family hated, when she wasn't. I completely went off on her after she wrote some detailed post about my best friend when she had only hung out with him one time and he didn't like her at all. You're absolutely not the asshole. Screw people who do this. I'm honestly having difficulty deciding between not the asshole and you're the asshole here. The only reason I say that you might be the asshole is because maybe this guy genuinely thought he and Mark were friends. If I had 20+ pictures with someone in my camera roll, I would probably think I was friends with that person, too. It sounds like Mark was open to you about disliking this guy, but maybe this guy didn't know. Nah. Leaning towards YTA for sending that horrible text. I get that you're upset, but sometimes people die and we don't know the relationship that others had with them. I recently had an extraordinarily special friend pass from an OD whom I hadn't been able to be around for over a year because I'm in recovery myself. We were actually romantically involved, but no one really knew that. When he died I was distraught, and I'm willing to bet there are some people who felt like this, that I was acting like we were friends. That's fine, people deal with grief in their own ways, but it doesn't make me an asshole for being sad about someone's death either. I don't know what these commenters are smoking. Yes, 100% you are the asshole for gatekeeping grief. It's not for you to decide who's worthy of grieving for your friend. Not the asshole, he was making your friend's death about him, which isn't okay. I'm really sorry for your loss. Easy solution. Unfollow or snooze him. Just eliminate his social media from your life completely. Best of luck to you in your healing. Not the asshole, he's exploiting your friend's death for likes. Everyone sucks here. You don't get to decide how someone else is allowed to feel. There is no monopoly on grief. Not the asshole. This is incredibly disrespectful. Absolutely not the asshole. This happened when my 17-year-old brother died, and happened again when my best friend died. Complete random strangers who maybe spoke to them 5 times, or had a high school class with them, were suddenly devastated by their death. Coming out of the woodwork after not speaking for 20 years, saying how close they used to be, when it was not the case at all. It made me so angry to see those people doing that for attention when us as family and close friends were gutted for real. I'm glad you called him out. Not the asshole, he was trying to get sympathy for all the wrong reasons. What he is doing is disgraceful, disrespectful, and unnecessary. I am so sorry for your loss. I hope you have the comfort and support of your friends and family. You are the asshole. I've been in your shoes where I had a close friend die, and I was confused and resentful of some theatrics from people who barely knew him. But unexpected death really shakes people and causes them to face their own mortality, and everyone reacts differently. The amount that each person grieves and the way in which they grieve are not always proportional to the relationship with that person, and they're not for anyone else to decide. If you knew for a fact that he was not being genuine and was solely attention-seeking, then it's different, but you can't ever really know, and the way you handled it was harsh. Not the asshole, it's disgusting he's using someone's death for attention. Him for trying to score grief points on social media for someone he didn't have much of a connection with. You're the asshole as well though for thinking you're doing some form of good by shoving it in his face that someone who's dead didn't care about him at all. Not the asshole, honestly this happened when my best friend died and everyone who bullied her was posting about how their angel is in heaven now, and how kind she was and how much they missed her. It made me really mad cause it showed me how little they clearly knew her, and I wish I had said something, but I was so scared of the backlash and felt alone enough as it was. I'm glad you stood up for your friend, it was the right thing to do. You are the asshole, you're doing exactly what you said he was doing. How do we know he's not telling the truth and you are just trying to swoop in and claim glory? Chief mourners for attention are the worst. Absolutely not the asshole, and honestly I think you did well by your friend Mark calling out the other guy's bullshit. Sorry for your loss. Grief hawks suck. One of my best friends died and his bully sat in the second row crying loudly to get attention. Made me sick. A favorite teacher of mine died in high school. At the funeral, 2 girls who never behaved themselves in class and who openly disliked him cried all over the place, weeping and throwing themselves at their crushes. In front of his wife and 12-year-old son. I will forever hate people who pull shit like that. Not the asshole. Peas. When he was in hospice, all he asked was to be left alone with his family. They immediately tried to get us to organize a trip to sing to him. Fucking assholes. It's a tragic death, the focus should be on Mark. Anyone who clearly tries to make it about themselves is just trying to gain attention, regardless of whether Mark liked them or not, is shitty. Unfortunately Mark isn't around to tell the guy he didn't like him, and didn't do it while he was alive, so I'd say sadly that ship has sailed. Not the asshole, I can see why your friend didn't like him. Anyone who would stoop to using your friend as a means to gain internet points is simply despicable. He's insulting the memory of Mark. Not the asshole, you didn't even respond under a post publicly, like I probably would have done, it was a private message. Not the asshole. It's already shitty for people to try and make grief a competition. But if they weren't friends when he was alive, that's double shitty. If I die, and someone I openly dislike started doing that, I hope at least one of my friends would do what you did. I'm very sorry for your loss. I hope you have a support system in these incredibly difficult times. Not the asshole, I had a friend who passed away and then I had another friend who, well, they had one conversation ever, they weren't friends. She proceeded to get a tattoo in her honor and later that year performed a song that she wrote about her. I was sitting w other people who were friends w the deceased and we all absolutely lost it and left. She was incredibly mad at me for leaving in the middle of her song, but the thing was there was no warning that this would be happening and she talked about how close they were when in reality they didn't fucking know each other. What was the outcome of being called out like that? Grief is tough. Don't beat yourself up. College-age kids sometimes do this dramatic stuff to tie themselves to something that happened or to feel connected again to someone they lost. Just move on from it, it's not like you were going to become close to this person, so water under the bridge. Not the asshole, and a related story. My cousin was in the hospital for cirrhosis of the liver. She was in a bad way and in there for a long time. Her daughter was pressuring her to give her POA, I'm assuming to get what little she had. So my cousin dies and at the gathering at the church after the funeral I got to hear about the daughter saying how much she loved Rhoda and will miss her. One of Rhoda's older friends, she's about 85, loses it and starts yelling about how Rhoda hated her daughter and how she was a scumbag for trying to get POA, etc. Not the asshole. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not the asshole. I would have went further and blasted him on social media as well, although with more tact this time. Were the 20+ photos of the two of them together? Because if that's the case he might have not hated him as much as you think he did. Just a thought. Not the asshole. Histrionic people who take advantage of death like this for self-promotion are of a particular breed of awful. I dealt with something similar when a good friend of mine committed suicide in college. There was a very dramatic girl I know who barely interacted with the guy but who made a long-ass Facebook post lamenting his loss and referencing their deep friendship, and how her life would never be the same without him. In the post, she referred to him by his real name, Bradley, multiple times. If she had actually talked to him for 5 minutes, she would have known that he hated his name for multiple reasons related to previous trauma and for that reason, he always went by a nickname. I never called her out on her bullshit but sometimes I wish I had. Not the asshole you texted him directly letting him know you are aware of what a fake he is. There is nothing wrong with that. You didn't go on social media and try to make it about yourself. I am so sorry you lost your friend. Not the asshole and you should have called him out on Snapchat. Not the asshole. There's a difference between social media posts to honor the dead versus posts to honor the poster. What this guy is doing is the latter. If Mark truly felt this way about this guy, your response was harsh but appropriate. Not the asshole. My sister does the same thing. She always has to take a day off of work when her cousin's second aunt's brother-in-law's best friend dies. It's about attention, not grief. Not the asshole and you were extra nice to text him instead of putting it up on his social media posts. Fuck that guy. Not the asshole. Me and my sister have a bounce list of people who are not allowed at our funerals and or allowed to act sad when we die. Sounds like someone is a little jelly. I'm so sorry about your friend and that this dude is using his death for popularity points. Not the asshole. Maybe taking some time off social media and block this dude on all platforms. I'm sending you love right now as you continue to grieve your friend Purple Heart. Not the asshole. Oh God. I know someone just like this. Like they get off on worshipping the dead. I would say not the asshole based solely on the fact that this guy needs to be taken down a peg.